Week 5 is in the books. Week 6 is here. Pete Nova with the Face Off Sports Network. I am back with my Week 6 defenses to stream, plus my full rankings. Now, every single week so far, we have had a defense finish inside the top 8 in total fantasy points. That was 25% owned or less. It was the Jacksonville Jaguars who have been awesome so far this year, the number one defense in fantasy football right now. We also assumed that the Cardinals were going to finish top 5. If you watch that game going into a couple minutes left in the fourth quarter, they were there. But turnovers that led to points from the offense to then the defense just ended up bumping them down, and they just did not have the finish that we were hoping for. And then you have the Rams, of course, which was the biggest disappointment of them all. Maybe some things to take away and learn from that. But they looked like they were in a smash spot, and they just absolutely did not come off the bus. But let's turn the page and look at week number 6 to kick off. I have the Raiders, who are at home against the Tennessee Titans, just 1.9% rostered across fantasy formats. And this makes sense. I mean, this is a Raiders defense that's just, to be completely honest with you, not very good. But they got their doors blown off, last week against the Colts. We do get a home team here, though, a 17.5 team total for the Tennessee Titans, who aren't averaging more than 14 points per game this year. They had a little bit of a bounce back for their offense, but it was more so because last week their defense put the offense in good spots and short fields at the end of that game against the Cardinals. But when we look at this matchup here, we get a home team, a low point total, and a bad EPA offense. 29th ranked offense in EPA over the last 3 weeks is the Tennessee Titans. And Titans right now are giving up the second most points to opposing defenses in fantasy at the moment. They give up 3.8 sacks per game. That's one thing where maybe the turnovers for Cam Ward haven't been there just yet, but he has taken a lot of sacks, a lot of hits so far as he's trying to find his footing. And they're going to have to go on the road against the Raiders team that, to be quite honest with you, I think they're going to be pissed off. I think Pete Carroll and this team, we expected them to be better than they were this year. We expected them to at least give teams fight, at least give teams a little bit of an issue and not just roll over. And the Raiders defense hasn't been good, right? 28th in EPA over the last 3 weeks for them, just 8 sacks on the year, so that's not great. But I think this is a make or break game for Pete Carroll and this team if they want any chance at all at even just close to 500, which I don't expect them to. But I just think, with how bad the season has gone so far, they get a get right game here. It looks like against the Titans at home. So I think it's a good matchup for them. I don't think this defense is amazing, but I think this defense is going to give us a really, really solid floor and has a little bit of chance to have some solid upside here as well. And then moving on to our next defense, it's going to be all reliable at this point. The Jacksonville Jaguars make this video 3 weeks in a row. And Jaguars are home against the Seattle Seahawks, 20% rostered across fantasy formats. And look, I'm going against the formula a little bit, right? Outside of them being a home team, this is a high point total for the team for Seattle. 23.5 is the team total. And this is a good EPA offense with the Seattle Seahawks. They're slightly above average because the rush EPA is really, really bringing them down. But good offense versus a good defense. We've said this about the Jags 2 weeks in a row now, and the Jags have came through for us where they're a good defense versus a good offense. And they were saved last week against the Chiefs with a pick 6, but this is the story of this Jags defense, right? Like they just generate a lot of turnovers, and this is where the rubber meets the road here, right? Is the defense going to continue against this offense? Is this offense going to continue to stay hot against this defense? We'll see. Sam Darnold has looked awesome. He is not taking many sacks or turning the ball over for the team. Right now, Seattle is though 4th in giveaways because they've fumbled a lot, right? And so it's not really because of Sam Darnold. It's really because of the other players on the team. And Jags are number 1 in terms of takeaways with 14. So there is a little bit of risk there. I've said this about the Jags 2 weeks in a row now, a little bit of risk, but it's really hard to make a case against them when they're the number 1 defense in fantasy right now. And they've looked awesome so far. Sam Darnold, he's having a great year. I expect him to continue to play good this year, but they're going on the road in this one. Jags are playing with a lot of momentum right now. Both teams are playing with a lot of momentum. But ultimately, I'll take the defense here, the home defense that's put up. I mean, pretty much was the number one defense this year so far. So I'm not going to continue to shy away from that. They're still not rostered in 25% of leagues, which I think is kind of crazy. But I think maybe people are just thinking it's a fluke. But they've showed us. I mean, the Chiefs game for the Jags to me was a big test of like, okay, is this defense for real? And let's keep in mind, no Trayvon Walker in that game, who I think is going to be back. So that definitely affected the pass rush, and they looked competent against the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. They didn't get a lot of sacks or anything like that, but the pick six definitely helps. But this has been the story of this team. I can't take the pick six away from them when they've consistently generated turnovers. I mean, again, 14 takeaways in 5 games. I mean, they're averaging almost 3 a game, just shy. So I like the Jaguars here in this spot. And then number 3, it's going to be the Patriots defense, who goes on the road here against the Saints. It's not a sexy play here with the Patriots, but 20% roster across fantasy formats, the number 6 fantasy defense so far. And the one thing that defense and special teams has gotten a boost from this year is the touchdowns on special teams. A lot of blocked field goals for touchdowns, a lot of kick returns for touchdowns. And the Patriots special teams unit has been awesome this year. I mean, they have 2 special teams touchdowns on kick returns. Now, no Antonio Gibson, so that could affect it. But Trevion Henderson is way more explosive and could do a good job there. We saw him take a kick return to the house in the preseason. But 1 turnover forced in each game for the Patriots, so they've averaged at least 1 turnover a game. So they're giving us that. This Saints team is below average offense. It's a below average defense. But I would keep in mind that the Patriots are playing with a lot of new faces, a new scheme, and they also have been playing with Christian Gonzalez not in the lineup for majority of the season so far. He's back. He helps stabilize that back end of that defense. And this is a defense right now that's 3rd best in rush EPA, which is actually the strength of the Saints team. But the strength of the Saints team still only 17th best in rush EPA. I think they'll limit the passing offense, for this Saints team, and force the Saints to run, and or it could be the opposite. Who knows? But I think it's a good matchup here. The only thing with the Patriots, it's not like they're crushing it when it comes to getting to the quarterback, but ultimately, they've had a couple of inflated games with their sacks, and the Saints are not giving up many sacks, right? Just 9 sacks in 5 games and just 3 turnovers, but they're not averaging many points. They're not averaging a lot of yards. So that gives us a good floor. And we hope that maybe the Patriots defense can give us a special teams touchdown, which we have seen a lot over the last few weeks. So that's going to be my 3rd defense to stream. Let's go ahead and move over to my rankings in tier number 1. This is the elite tier for me, guys. You have the Green Bay Packers here at number 1. Green Bay Packers playing the Cincinnati Bengals. And right now, the Cincinnati Bengals are number 1 when it comes to points allowed to fantasy defenses. I think it's a great spot for the Packers, who are coming off of extended rest. They have a bye week that they just got off of, so they've had extra time to prepare. And Jake Browning has looked absolutely terrible. I don't need to go over the stats for you to know just how bad the Cincinnati Bengals offense has been. Moving on to number 2, and it's the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the New York Giants. And New York Giants right now 8th when it comes to points allowed to fantasy opposing defenses in fantasy. They're giving up so far. They've given up 14 sacks on the year, 5 interceptions, 3 fumble recoveries, and also a defensive touchdown allowed. Jackson Dart is going to add some pop to this offense, but I think he's going to also take some sacks, and he's probably also going to make some turnovers. And, you look at this Philly defense, and they just lost to the Denver Broncos. It is a road team here, but, it's not like they have to travel far. It's just from Philly to New York. It's a very familiar area for them. It's not a long travel, not a long trip. And this is a Philly team that, just lost to the Denver Broncos in a very surprise game. And the defense still looked really good in that game. I expect them to come out pissed off after a loss, and I had them here at number 2. Number 3, the Denver Broncos, who are taking on the New York Jets over in London. And the London games have been really weird overall. The London, you just sometimes just don't know what to expect. Our team's going to come out and pop or not. But ultimately, I like this Denver Broncos team. Of course, they've played really, really good this year so far on defense. They lead the NFL in sacks right now. And the Jets right now giving up 16 sacks so far on the year, 7 fumble recoveries given up, 1 defensive touchdown, and 1 interception. And Justin Fields has, struggled. He hasn't really generated much in the first half of games. A lot of his points and a lot of the yardage has come in the second half of games in, pretty much garbage time. So we'll see. I don't expect the Jets team to roll over for Denver this week either, but they are the worst team in the NFL right now. I think they'll give Denver a fight a little bit, but I think ultimately Denver's a really, really great play this week. Number 4, Pittsburgh Steelers, who are taking on the Cleveland Browns. And Browns right now, number 9 when it comes to points allowed to opposing fantasy defenses. And you have a different quarterback at the helm right now. Now, we do get a home team here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It is a divisional game, but Dylan Gabriel has been able to get the ball out really quick in that first game, so limiting the sacks that he, took. And ultimately, they can run the football. I just don't think they're going to score a lot of points. And I think this is a good chance for Mike Tomlin to, get to a young rookie quarterback. And we'll see if it pays off. But I'll take the Steelers here. I think, divisional game at home against an opponent they know really, really well. I'll take the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 4. Moving on to number 5, it's the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Arizona Cardinals. And, Arizona Cardinals have kind of been up and down as an offense. We do get a home team here with the Colts. Arizona, it's not necessarily that they're playing terrible, but still 13th when it comes to points allowed to opposing defenses, 16 sacks so far, which is a lot. 3 fumble recoveries given up, 3 interceptions on the year for Kyler Murray. I think this is a good spot for the Colts to keep things going, as this defense has been pretty good this year. And you got to give, props to them. They've been a defense that not many teams were expecting to be this good. So moving on to tier number 2 here, and I don't want to give you a jump scare, but yes, the Rams are here at number 6 in tier number 2, and they take on the Baltimore Ravens. And the Ravens, I mean, man, this is a team that looks desperate for a win right now, with no Lamar Jackson. Of course, if Lamar is back this week, that's going to change things. So keep that in mind in terms of where they are ranked here. But I'm operating as if he's not playing. And, they go on the road in this matchup. I know the Rams looked bad last week, but the Rams had extra time to prepare for this team. I think they're going to come out pissed off after getting absolutely embarrassed. That's not the defense that we know this Rams team to be. This is a defense at number 5 when it comes to EPA this season, if you remove last week's game. And so they've been good. It was just a no-show game, and Kyle Shanahan seems to have their number. Moving on to number 7 here, and it's the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And this is a case of just a really good defense here. They are going on the road, but they've performed really well for us. We'll see if their injury report, how that looks. They've been missing some players, and I'm really, really hoping that those players get back. Jaguars haven't given up a ton when it comes to points allowed to opposing defenses. Trevor Lawrence, 5 interceptions, but not taking many sacks. I think this is a very, very good pass rush with the Seattle Seahawks, though. So I think they could definitely change things up and give some issues for Trevor Lawrence. Then I have the Buffalo Bills here at number 8. Their defense has been okay, right? They haven't performed well in big spots. They take on the Atlanta Falcons, and Atlanta Falcons have been really good at limiting pressure on the quarterback so far this year. They're 15th when it comes to just points allowed to opposing fantasy defenses this year. But in the 4 games they've played, they've only given up 5 sacks. So just 1 sack per game, 3 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries, and then 1 defensive touchdown allowed for this team. They are coming off of a bye, so they've had some extended time to look at the Bills from an offensive standpoint. But I think the Bills should come out ready to go after a tough loss last week, to a divisional opponent. They're going to go on the road here in Atlanta and go get right. And I'm expecting that for them. So let's go ahead and move on to tier number 3 here. And a little bit of a mistake. Jared Verse should not be on this picture, but we move. But number 9 here, Cleveland Browns taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And It's just another case of just a good defense so far this year. Cleveland Brown taking on Pittsburgh, going on the road. They're not generating a ton of turnovers, is what the Steelers team is doing. But we do know that they can take sacks. It's the one thing that Rodgers has been susceptible to do is take sacks when pressure comes. So we'll see if they can continue that. Talked about the Raiders already at 10, so I'm not going to speak about it. Talked about the Jaguars here at 11, so not going to speak on them either. Tampa Bay Buccaneers against San Francisco 49ers. This is interesting. Of course, San Fran offense looked really good with their backs against the wall. Tampa Bay's run defense is phenomenal. I expect them to, to pretty much shut down this offensive run game that's been pretty tough this year. They haven't really had a ton of success running the football. 49ers, though, offensively, 10th when it comes to points allowed to fantasy defenses. So they are susceptible. They're a top 10 team for opposing fantasy defenses to face. That's a lot of comes from the turnovers, 5 interceptions, 3 fumble recoveries allowed, and 7 sacks in 5 games. So I'd like the Bucks here. I think they're a solid play this week. And then you get the Patriots, who we talked about as well. So we'll skip over those 3 defenses because they're streamers, and we'll move over here to number 4. And for tier number 4, this is an interesting tier. This is like a really hard tier to judge. I wanted to put the Saints higher. I think the Saints are really sneaky this week, going up against the Patriots, who Patriots, I mean, they have they've given up a lot of sacks to opposing defenses, right? 17 sacks so far, 5 fumble recoveries, 2 interceptions. I mean, we know that Ramondre Stevenson likes to fumble, and we know that this offense gives up some sacks. But this offense is still pretty good. So that's why I didn't have the Saints higher. It is a home team here, though. So I can totally see why people might go after the Saints. And I implore you, I think the Saints are a good play. They're a risky play, but they're definitely a good play this week. And I think they have a real chance to finish as a top 6-7 unit this week. Dallas Cowboys here at 15, taking on the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers have been good to opposing defenses. 9 sacks on the year, 5 fumble recoveries, 1 defensive touchdown, 4 interceptions. I don't love Dallas. I can't put them much higher. It's just a defense that, yeah, I mean, they looked good against the Jets. I mean, most defenses look good against the Jets, and I can't put them much higher. They've gotten their doors kicked in against even bad offenses this year. I'm not putting them higher than that. That's just kind of how I feel about it. I would much rather take a risk on the Saints or the Titans or even the Chargers, right? I have Dallas here at 15 just because of the floor, but the ceiling is not as high. Chargers here against Miami. Miami's offense is actually playing pretty good, guys. EPA wise, they're at the top of the league in the last 3 weeks in offensive EPA. They're going to go on the road here, the Chargers, and the Chargers defense has not been that great the last few weeks. And a lot of injuries to this team. I think it's starting to take its toll. They got to go on the road and travel in this one. So I had them here at 16, not much higher than that. I don't think I'll bump them up at all. Then you have the Tennessee Titans, who are an interesting play here. Titans going up against the Raiders this week. I could see the Titans being another team similar to the Saints, where it's like sneaky play that ends up having a good week. They are traveling on the road in this one, the Titans. And so I didn't have them much higher. It's not a really great defense overall, though they did have a good week last week against the Cardinals. I just didn't put them much higher, though. Now we're looking at tier number 5, and I got to be completely honest with you. I mean, it's a really tough spot to start any of these defenses. I'm not going to harp on like every single matchup here, but you have the Washington Commanders in their matchup, and they go, against the Chicago Bears at home, but that secondary for the Washingtons look terrible. Then you have the Miami Dolphins who go against the Chargers, who are really banged up right now, and the Chargers offense EPA wise has been pretty bad the last few weeks. So that makes a lot of sense there too. Then you have the Detroit Lions. I think honestly, if you really want the safe play, it's go Detroit or go Kansas City. Those are 2 safe plays that you're not going to get a high floor on, but they're good defenses. And one of them is likely going to have a top 10 week, I would think, unless it's an absolute shootout. But I think it's going to be a close game. Then you have the New York Giants at 22. You have the Jets at 23 against Denver, and then you have the Cardinals here at 24. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to the show and the channel. Leave your comments, and I will gladly answer them. Thank you so much for the support. It's been a great season so far. Let's continue to roll, and I'll see you guys next time.